Hey, what's up, guys? Just going to talk about what you should have in a well converting email design. This is mainly for e-commerce. Plain text emails are a little different, quite different, and they're a lot more simple. So, on that, the name of the game is simplicity. The simpler the email, the more people pay attention and buy. As like as a brand owner, as anyone who's selling a product, it's compelling to jam as much as you can into your email designs. You think the more the better, but oftentimes people get overwhelmed with too many options, and most of the time they end up just taking none at all, or the options presented to them are not very clear, etc., etc. So that means one to two call to actions. They should be the same copy and the same, button size generally. You're not going to have two different call to actions. There should be, because you should only have one call to action in the whole email, one or two, or as many buttons as you need. But um, like there should be one main goal that you want them to take. Is what I mean by that. Same one main idea, you know, and don't clump all your text together. You want to break it up and use as few words as possible. Cut out the fluff, and that's it all ties into the same thing, just being simple, and not overwhelming your reader. You generally want to have one to three colors, usually a primary color relating to whatever the email is about, and most of the time, what your brand color is, usually what you use on the website, because they're going to associate those colors with your brand, and you want to use the same ones fairly consistently. You should note that some colors have different like emotions associated with them as well. So keep that in mind when you're making up your emails, what you want to convey to your reader. We all want to look at crazy colored email designs. It's very impressive. I'm definitely not a wicked designer. I can just do the basics. Um, but at the end of the day, your that kind of ties back into something that's too busy is um, has a lot of friction. It has is pulling their attention all over the place instead of moving them down the screen, and taking the action that you want them to. So you have a clear logo. Every email should have their logo at the top. Um, it's associated with your brand. It's the first thing they're going to see. You want it to be visible, and keep in mind, if you have a dark logo, a lot of people, more than like I think 80% or 90%, use dark mode on their phones, and most people use their phones to view their emails. If you have a dark logo, it can easily blend into the background. Your headline should be one of the biggest things on the page. It sets the tone for what the email is about and what they can expect. So always want to have it above the fold at the top of the screen. Make sure it's clear. Make sure it's not blending into the background. And yeah, for your hero image, you don't want to. What was I going to say? Your hero image should be relevant to what the email is about. You don't have to have one, but it sets the tone just like the headline does. So if you're presenting a new product drop, it's probably best to have a picture of somebody wearing that product that you're going to be talking about. Stuff like that. And that helps them visualize, the product and themselves wearing or using the product. I say wear because brands I've been um, most of the things I've been writing and designing about are like fashion and apparel. You can also be used to grab attention if you have important news like some kind of sale. It doesn't have to be a picture of a person. It can just be like a very poppy background to grab attention to what you're talking about. Um, So yeah, and then we'll go here. I'll show some examples. So here's the original of a brand called Vegan Outfitters, and then this is the redesign that I have. So you can see the headline, welcome. This is the first welcome email, so you're welcoming them. This is going to be awesome, very clear, similar, pretty much the same as the original, but it's a lot easier to see. The welcome in this one blends in a little bit to the background, which is white, and the black shirt on the model. It's very easy to see at the very top of the page. And then we have our hero image, which in this case, I like to use the picture of the open arms. It's kind of like, it's very welcoming, and it's relevant to the email. You're welcoming your new subscribers. You want to show that to them, basically. And then we'll go talk about the call to action. And I mentioned not clumping up your text. So in this case, it is a little bit long still, but I try to break it up as much as possible and make it a bit shorter so it's easier to read. So even if you have a bunch of text, it's better to make it into chunks so they can easily read one line, instead of feeling like they're reading this endless, body of text, which people hate to do. So going into a call to action, this is what you're going to use to get your readers to buy. Basically, it's going to link to whatever you're selling. Your first call to action in the majority of emails should be above the fold, so that when they open the email right away, they can press it. They can go right there if they don't want any more, if they don't need any more convincing to buy, instead of having to scroll all the way down the screen and potentially leaving the email before clicking that call to action that we want them to do. And if you can make your copy more compelling in that call to action, you don't have a lot of room to play with, but if you can, that's great, because most brands you see just say shop now, which is pretty boring and basic. And people don't like to be sold to, even though they're in their email to buy. They're scrolling through, promotions because they like the brand and they want to buy something. But people still don't like to be told to buy something. So use it, copy that's more relevant to what you're talking about. If you're selling, I don't know, these new jeans that you're dropping, and they're like, I don't know, I have a good example somewhere. Just like, jump into your new jeans or your new summer jeans, or make it like a descriptive visual for them to actually see and feel. You want them to feel like you're helping them out, you're helping them solve a problem, not that you just want them to buy your product. If that makes sense. It's kind of long-winded. In some emails, I always said you want it to be above the fold, but some emails like the Welcome Flow series, when you're like, maybe you're talking about the brand story or like the benefits of the brand and stuff like that, you don't always need the call to action to be above the fold, because it's not the main priority. The main priority is to tell the reader more about the brand and build that relationship with them. So in that case, you can put it a little bit lower on the screen. Then we talked a bit about the body copy already. What you actually write in the body copy really depends on what the topic of the email is, but generally, like we said, you want to chunk it up. Don't make it a huge paragraph. Use like open loops at the end of each paragraph or each sentence. Use like it's a complete sentence, but it's not a complete thought. So the reader is still curious. They want to keep reading more and more and more. They want to hear what you have to say continuously. And that's how you can get them to read through the whole email. And then you'll have your final call to action, especially if you have a really long email. You want to have one at the top or in the middle as well. So it's always easy for them to take that action when they want to. The example here at the top, we have our get your 10% off with code blank shop now. I reused the button from here. Don't take my advice and don't use the shop now. This is one of the first ones that I did. I haven't touched this design in a little while or updated it. But you see at the bottom here, you have I want 10% off, which is this is a good example of having, not having shop now, but having your second call to action at the bottom of the email so that they don't have to scroll all the way back up. Click this one is quite important. The less friction you have for them, the better. I think that's pretty much it. As long as you focus on those things, you're gonna have a pretty good email. Remember, simplicity is your friend. Have one main goal for the email. You're talking about one thing only. If you have a new product launch, you're talking about that one new product or those several products in the launch. You're not gonna share with them reviews or say to join their Facebook group as well. Your Facebook group as well. You don't want to have a whole bunch of things jammed in there. I'm going to talk about one thing and one thing only. And your designs don't even need to be, amazing. Just follow the simple rules. You can look at really good emails.com or .ca, one of the two, but they have really good examples there you can always look at as well. But if you want one-on-one help or guidance, you can hit me up at my website here or my email. Let me write it on the screen. It's Nick at Stone Copywriting. Okay, that's my email. You can also comment in the section. I'd love to help. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them as best I can. But yeah, that's all for now. Let me know if that was helpful. Thanks.